Zulus, yeah. People, if you don't know who the Zulus are, they are the Birmingham City hooligans. But the Zulus, they had One-Eyed Baz. They, rest in peace. They also had
in paradise.
Big Bird, rest in peace. Now, when I met Big Bird for the first time, because my dad knows Big Bird, my man was like the nicest man you'd ever meet. You'd hear all these dark stories about he thumping up man and knocking man out and all this, but it was the nicest man you could ever meet. Like, he was real nice, real friendly, and they set up like a security thing. See what I'm saying? And that security was on doors, but because it was like, once you heard the name Zulu, you didn't really want no smoke with them like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, if they was on doors, there was no drama at the dance. So I'm saying, if them other gangs were to look and say, yo, let's set up a security company, we're just going to work on the doors and we're going to make sure that there's no trouble. People were scared of them anyway. You could have used that and turned it into some kind of business, or even you could have put on promotions. There's so much different things you can do with fear. Look at the mafia. Fear, if you're not making money from fear, it's pointless people being scared.
Yeah.
Because fear can command respect. Respect can command money. So once someone's scared of you and they're scared of you and they also respect you, they're scared of you and they don't want no drama, they will prefer to be on your side. So if them man were doing security, they could have had long-lasting businesses. See what I mean? Even if they would have got together and said, yo, we're going to organize things, but because our world is just like shoot 'em up, bang, bang type of thing. That's what's promoted in our world. That's what's at the forefront. Yo, just go at it. Man's just going at each other's necks. There's not no real reason why. There's not no real reason why man's are going at each other's necks. It's just something to do. And it happens all over the UK. You've got, like, I remember like one youth telling me how much he hated these other youths from Answorth. And when I asked him why, he could not say. Like, these man didn't kill no one, you know. They didn't do anything to you. None of that. But he hated these man. And I remember thinking, oh my God, look at the venom that's being put into these youths to hate other youths. And they don't even know them.
No.
They don't even know them. I'm like, this is crazy. So all these racists who just hate black people and all these men that are willing to show that they hate black people, because at the time you had the BMP who were doing their thing and the EDL who were coming through, and these men were
going back earlier, Combat 18, you had NF National Front, you had the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan that were over here. I think they've even still got chapters here, sibling.
There you go. And imagine joining and imagine all that's going on. So even if you want to get into some sort of ignorance, imagine all of that's going on, all these different right-wing things who actually hate black people.
Yeah.
You join something that to fight against other black people. I watched the King Von documentary the other day. It's over 3 hours long. And when I watched it, you know, the only thing that I felt after watching that was so sad. Like I just felt sad. I was just like, yo, imagine that. This is. I remember when I know I'm all over the place, but my mom went to Chicago a few years ago for work, and my mom was resorted to tears, man, over there, to tears because they're playing a game in Chicago, Noble, that there's no winner, there's no loser. It's just a game that never ends. Like, it's just a game that never ends. And imagine that these started one of the most popular genres within hip hop. Chicago started drill. Little Durk, Chief Keef, Little Reese, FBG Doc, all these guys got to a level where some of them have gone on to make multi-millions. Some of them would have made multi-millions. Millions were tuned in all over the world. This was just two gangs in the gangster disciples and the black disciples that were following older uncles and dads and brothers and joined these gangs. And when I tell you the chessboard, they all went to school together, and on the chessboard, Noble, it's been cleared maybe 3 to 4 times. Where like groups of friends, if you watch, there's videos on YouTube that show these guys when they were in school together, and then it pops up showing what they're doing now, and they'd have like a dove that represents death and a padlock that represents life in jail. And I'm telling you, if you can get through that video without pausing it twice, to how sad it is. There's so much youths that have just gone, like for nothing. And then what happens is, you love your big brother, innit? You think your big brother's your hero, and you only know your big brother as your big brother. When he gets killed, what do they call it now? Sliding. You need to slide for your brother. You need to slide for your brother. Get back. They had a crew called the Get Back Gang. You know what these guys would do? If someone got killed from their gang, they would kill everybody associated with that person. Little brother, little cousin.
What?
And they were racking up these bodies, Noble, and the Chicago police didn't even care. King Von, who was a superstar rapper, when you watch this documentary, allegedly he had 7 bodies, Noble.
Yeah.
He was rapping about these bodies on songs.
Listen,
and people were making money. Yo, why would anyone even want that mindset to creep into our community over here? Why would anyone even want that? This is it. To me, it's just mad. It's just crazy that we're out here talking all this, and that's what's being pushed.
Yeah. It's an agenda mark, self-destruction. Now, here's the point that we can put a contrast to this. So he's rapping, King Von, and people told me that he was serious. I did, because I'm not really into this new age stuff, but they were like, "Yo, this King Von is serious still." Okay, and he's talking about the thing. So I'm thinking, how is he allowed to talk about his criminal activity on wax? Whereas in the 90s and early thousands, X-Rated got locked up from Sacktown, Garden Block, for his retelling of a crime which he committed. Yeah, he got locked up, sibling, for his words on his album. Sibo got locked up for words on his album. So now it would seem that they're like, okay, this is clearly weaponized music. We want more self-destruction. We want more black hate. We're not going to uplift. We're not going to give economical, social development for Chicago. We're going to knock down Cabrini Green, and we're going to make it. We're going to gentrify it in essence, and we're going to move those warring factions to another part of the city. We're just moving it along. They're not addressing the situation because there is a war against, unfortunately, original people. And it's different in different countries, you know what I mean? America, they're going on stupid with it, and we are importing it. We as a community are importing it.
Others. It's infecting other communities, because I understand, Noble, because I'm not going to pretend that, the police had an easy job. But it was infectious, because what would happen is, if you're King Von's little cousin, or you're the little brother or little cousin of somebody who King Von killed, you're going to say, well, there's no punishment for living like this, so I may as well, he's killed my cousin. My man had killed girls and everything. And don't get it twisted. The girl that he killed was compared, they called her Snoop, because the Snoop from The Wire, if you watch The Wire, so you know what she's all about.
Okay.
But it's just a real sad, the documentary, I advise everyone, if you haven't watched it, it's a guy from England actually called Trap Law Ross. Type in Trap Law Ross on YouTube and click on his channel, and he's got a documentary called King Von, hip hop's first serial killer. And that is just the saddest thing you'll ever see. And because I know to myself that England, the way England set up, that murder like that couldn't happen here like that. It couldn't. They could sort that out very quick because the technology, and not only the technology, but they have the resources, and it's actually very, it's a financial gain for the state for every person who gets locked up here.
Exactly.
So if that happens here, it's good because it's good for them because they're able to keep adding new players to this chessboard in prison. And a lot of the system works different here. People talk about, and I know you've said, matter of fact, I got this from you actually, Noble, but people talk about America and the UK. The UK is the brains, America's the belly. So in the UK, it's more polished here. They're not into no mistakes. Don't happen here like that. If there's an area where there's beer man killing each other, that's for a reason. It's not something that they can't control. So if you mans think they're gonna bring that way of life here, all what's gonna happen is mans get lifed off. I was listening to I don't exactly know the ins and outs of this situation, but I'm gonna bring it up because it's something that I've been tapped into, and that is Crazy Titch. He's doing life right now.
Yes.
Listening to him on the phone, I'm like, that's the reality. That's the reality right there, because he was one of them who thought, I don't know what he's in prison for. If it's an injustice, I hope he gets his freedom. But when he was out here, he was on all that bad man thing and promoting that stuff as well. And now he's in prison. You see, that's the reality in England. You don't die no legend in England. You're going to go into prison and give it 5 years. You're going to be forgotten about. I got a cousin doing life right now. Worst thing ever is to get a phone call. Your day could be going beautiful. Your kids are running around. Yeah. You're eating a beautiful meal. You're happy. The birds are chirping. When you get that call from a man doing life, the day's not going to end up the same. Trust me. When you get that call and a man's doing life, you can just, and a man knows he's never going to see road again, and you're talking to a man like that, that energy is some kind of energy you don't want. Trust me. You don't want that energy. You do not want that energy. So I just don't get why it's promoted so heavily. That's why I'm consistent with it. That's why when a lot of these films come out, I'll be like, yo, why are we making the same kind of film? I'm not saying don't make the films, but why are so much resources put behind road when less than 5% of us live that way? If you go and get 100 black boys, yeah, probably only 5 of them live that way, but they'll make it seem like 95 of them live that way. That's why I say a lot of us ain't got no struggles with road. We don't. When you hear a man talking about, yo, when I was growing up, it was hard, you know, I couldn't even do this and I couldn't do that. It's not that kind of place. A lot of people make the choice to live like that. If you don't want to be, right now, my son, he's a gamer. All he is into is gaming, and more gaming. There's no way I can get him interested in road. He deals with other gamers, other people that are into games, but if he wanted to be a road man, he'd be with other people that are on roads. So what I'm trying to say is we need to change this mainstream narrative that we're the only people that do crime, when in matter of fact, we're at the bottom of the crime food chain. But when you watch these music videos and you watch these series and these movies, I don't know no man that's dealing directly with no plug. From all my time on road, meaning like being in certain environments. I've never been on road like that, but from all my time of being around road, man, I never knew no one who dealt with no Irish connect direct, no Turkish connect direct. But when you watch these programs, a man who lives on a council estate is going to pick the plug in the Turkish plug to buy 100 keys. Like that don't happen in England. That does not happen in England. It does not happen, and I don't know why we want it to happen. I don't know why we keep promoting it to happen. And that's why I say, even with someone like Rap Man, probably one of the best storytelling minds that we've got, that we've produced in the UK. His mind can tell stories. His stories are beautifully put together. And I think that with the right resources put behind him, he could be a Guy Ritchie, a black Guy Ritchie, or even the first rap man. But I think that he was being marginalized, or he marginalized himself into focusing on road stories too much.
If you think about it though, Mark,
dangerous, yeah.
At that time, that was what was very popular, wasn't it? I think if we go back to our earlier build reference, like the niches in the market, at that time it was all about this was pre-prison story podcasts and all that kind of thing, but it was a very road centric. But so he was painting that more of a vivid picture using whatever what was trending at that time. But he has indeed typecast himself by doing that.
1000%, because what's happened since, remember when he first got with, I think he done a deal with Rock Nation.
Yes.
And they were like, Rock Nation's done a deal. What's come of it? Nothing.
Thank
we
you.
don't see no blockbuster movies, nothing. The reason for that is because a man marginalized himself. Now, what I'm trying to say is, I hear what you're saying, Noble, because this is the thing that we have this conversation a lot, but I don't actually believe that we're marginalized to one way of making movies. The reason why I say this is because if you look at the mainstream movies, it's all fantasy.
Yes.
Avatar, the biggest grossing movie of this year thus far, of last year, Avatar, it was like Avatar was there and the rest of the movies were down there. And what I'm saying is, that's all fantasy, blue people from a different planet. Now, I understand that those type of movies require a heavy budget. But even if you look at a movie like District 13, where it's a low alien movie, like that movie didn't cost nothing to make. And look at what it made back. Look at that movie that Idris just done, Beast, low budget movie, but look what it's made back. Now,
what the Lion thing?
Yeah, the one with the lion. It's all CGI as well.
Exactly.
So and they filmed it in 1 week, 7 days. So what I'm trying to say is, a mind like Rapman's, for me, is that complex. His mind is, and this is me bigging Rapman up.
Yeah.
His mind's that complex that I forget road. I want to hear other stories.
Yeah, man.
Forget road. I want to know what happened when, I want to hear other stories. Like, I want to see what else you can tell. This gang thing is not important enough to make so much content about. It's not. It's just not. And don't get it twisted. I don't want to be a hypocrite. A lot of the Brum stories have been based around road. That's why it takes so long to do them now. Because if I'm doing a story, I want it to be outside of road. So a lot of the people that come, I've got a story, it's about road. I don't want to do road. I don't want to do road no more, because I think that we're almost hurting ourselves as a community, because we're so much more than that.
Perpetuating it.
Road. Yeah.
We've got to create new narratives, man. We've got to make being a what is black excellence. We see the hashtags and all that, but what does it actually look like, man? Because it's not this road shit. We know that's not black excellence. So why aren't we promoting and having these conversations and highlighting black excellence? Whether that's someone who's got a restaurant, whether someone's got a security company, whether whatever small business owner or large business owner. We need to be promoting that stuff. We need to be having those conversations. We don't need to be having so-and-so who's coming out with a new single on the podcast. We need to be having conversations with the business owners then. Like, yeah, man, tell me your story, man. How did you get from council estate to now being a CEO of a 5.6 billion pound company? That's inspiration.
Exactly.
That's changing the dynamic from a small, as a youngster, you can't imagine. You just know, like, Handsworth, Aston, Greens, you know, Witton, whatever. You just know that little surrounding. And then when you get a little bit older and you're able to get on the buses and go and link your friends and stuff, and you go to other areas and you see the wider thing, and then just take it a bit further, you get on a plane, you go to a different country. All of these is experiences, right? This opens you up and realizes that flipping out, I live here, and you know, like you talk about the poor. Oh yeah, I grew up poor still. You grow up poor in America, in some states in America.
Yeah.
You realize that that's why unfortunately, a lot of people make that wrong decision and do the road thing because of necessity for some people. They don't have no damn food. They've got a dysfunctional, totally dysfunctional family over there. They're on Section 8 housing, so the housing's paid, but their mum's maybe a drug addict or something, and they got no food because their mum's spending it all on drugs. So what do? They got no family. Uncle's a drug addict as well. Or you know what I mean? There's no one there. So they have to, in essence, raise themselves. We have got no excuse over here to talk about, yeah, man, I'm road still because, nah, boss. Nah.
It's true. It's true. It's a choice. It's a choice for a lot of people. I'm not saying they ain't the odd one or, you know, the odd exception that didn't have another avenue, you know, probably, you know, they couldn't. I don't even know, because I don't know nobody that has been, even with a lot of the people that I know that were involved in ignorance, a lot of it was by choice. You see what I'm saying? So let's switch up the topic. Still staying on topic, but switch up the topic slightly. So the Chris Carver situation. Now what I want to do, I want to read this article that came out. So people, bear with me 1 second. I want to read this article because this situation was huge at the time. So people, this is the latest news with the Chris Carver situation. So the headline reads, Chris Carver, men accused of murder plot with Met shooting victim. So 4 men have appeared at the Old Bailey accused of plotting a murder with... Sorry, people, let me start it again. 4 men have appeared at the Old Bailey accused of plotting a murder with Chris Carver, who was shot dead by a Met police officer last year. Mr. Carver, 24, died the day after he was hit by a single gunshot wound in Stretton Hill, South London, on the 5th of September. The alleged offences relate to a shooting days earlier in Tower Hamlets in East London. The victim, Brendan Mo Tusi, survived. A total of 6 men are accused over the 30th of August shooting. They say a load of names, and then they say all 6 are accused of conspiring with Mr. Carver to murder Mr. Mosolti and conspiring with Mr. Carver to cause him grievous bodily harm. So, this is why I say, when certain things happen, yeah, I believe it's best to wait for all of the information. Now, I'm not saying, do I trust police? I'm not saying that the police are speaking facts. The police still murdered a member of the public. But when stories like this come out, how much people can really rally behind it like that? Because let's keep it real. They've put this story out to say they've killed a man who was plotting to do, you know, to do a crime. So you have to think the average Brit will read that and they don't care that the police done that. The average Brit will read that and they don't want to hear about, you know, they don't want to put Chris Carver in a victim light after reading something like that, because they're saying, oh, well, you were going after somebody who was about to do a crime. So they're going to put it down to cops and robbers. And this is why I say a lot of energy, let's just put it like that, And I understand why. Don't think that I'm saying that I don't understand why, but a lot of energy has been put behind this case. But I said it back then when we done the stream that we have to be careful before rallying behind certain things, because now the police are just dismissed. They're able to put a story out like that, and the majority will hear that story and turn the other cheek. Whereas some will still say, okay, the police need to be held accountable, which most definitely they do for murdering a member of the public. However, this member of the public, they believe, they allege, was conspiring to commit a crime himself. And, you know, the majority of the public, when they hear something like that, they don't want to hear no more about that person being a victim. And this is the harsh but sad reality of these type of situations. Noble, what you saying?
It's a tricky one, man. It's a hella tricky one. Some people would say that that's an. So if I let me just get this clear in my head from what you've read. So someone tried to kill someone in Tower Hamlets, did you say, or something, and he survived?
That's correct.
And Chris Carver is related to that attempted murder.
They allege he was involved in the group that wanted to commit the murder. Yeah.
So he's a co-defendant in that. So they're not saying he was actually there when they tried to eat, guns were firing, etc. Okay, so it's for the person who, you know, was attacked, he would say that's retribution, and the other 5 people should have been shot and potentially killed as well. But no, I don't think the police are. Their designs and their job role is to kill people. It's to apprehend criminals, so then they can go through the justice system, so they can be punished. We don't have capital punishment here. We don't have the death penalty. So the police are supposed to apprehend this person who was boxed in, from a recollection. Didn't they box him in a vehicle, like a T-boned him and all this kind of stuff?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
It's highly questionable. It's highly questionable in reference to the police actions. And this again calls into question. And I've spoken to police officers, and I hear their points, but we've still got to raise it. They train to shoot in the center of the chest or into the head, right? That's target practice. To stop a victim, you know, stop the aggressor from, you know, doing something which they shouldn't be doing. Now, there should also be secondary training, because he was in a vehicle. Like, what did he have, a Mac 10 in there, and he was just going to spray the thing out? And then they thought, oh, before he sprays that Mackie, let's just pump one in his head and get rid of him to save our lives. Because again, correct me if I'm wrong, there was no firearm found in the vehicle, right?
No, there wasn't.
Right. So again, we need to have police across the plane of existence have better firearms training. They need to train to kill people, of course, because if they're going to carry firearms, that's what they, you know, potentially will have to do. But they also need to be trained to make shots which are not life-threatening. Because they were really, I just can't see the scenario. As I say, oh, he was reaching his mobile phone, and we thought it was a gun. Like, are we going to go down that route? Like, why are we ending someone's life when we don't know what's going on? Yeah, we've had a shooting thing. We've had the videos come on the WhatsApp when they pull the car over and they scream, "Get out of the fucking car!" And they got guns. They got them all semi-automatic things, man. They got rifles pointed at these people. Get out and they're throwing them around and stuff. They're not pumping. They're not going straight up to the car and clapping at these people. So, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing as a police force? Why are we killing people? That's my problem. Now, as I say, it's tricky, because if what they allege is correct, then he was, like, as we was building on it earlier, he was destroying He was trying to take someone from this plane of existence. He was trying to steal someone's life, in essence. Him and his other 5 brethren. Should he have been killed for that? No, he should have been tried, if indeed he did do that there, and serve his sentence. I do think if, and this won't happen because they don't want righteousness, they don't want law and order. But if you are convicted of a crime and there's no shadow of a doubt, like murder, molestation, rape, those kind of things, they should just kill you. Let's get it out the way. Let's put something in place. So the next person who says, I'm going to rape that woman, I'm going to rape that little boy, I'm going to rape that man, they'll be saying, okay, well, if I get caught, they're going to kill me, they're going to hang me, or they're going to chop my head off, or however it's done. There's a consequence for the action, right, Mark? Remember when you was young and your mum said, yo, don't touch that shit, it's hot. If you can't hear, you must feel, right? So consequences and actions. They've created and manipulated a society where anything goes, but apparently there's rules in place and there's laws in place. So man, yeah, I'll go prison. That ain't nothing, man. I'll sit down for 6 years. That's light work. That's light work, man, because I can get my mobile phone in there. Depending on where I am, I'll get a PlayStation 19. I can get drugs in this year. I can even potentially make more money in prison selling illegal substances, mamba, cocaine, head-on. Huh?
Yeah, I've heard it many times. I've heard a man say he makes more money in prison than on road.
Yo, you remember the videos that were going around in like 16 of my man in the Versace robe thing, and he's got all this stuff in this. Remember that? And in the cell.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Listen.
They didn't need to kill him. I agree with that totally. I'm isolating this too, that now that stories came out, I've received that story from everyone who sent it to me. They've sent it in a way like, look at this. Like, yo, look what man was standing behind almost. That's how I've received it. So I'm saying the general public will not feel any sympathy when it was someone who was alleged to be living a life of crime and was alleged to be involved in a plot to to commit a murder.
Yeah.
But I do understand that we can't get behind everything the police say, because they could just be covering their own back too. But it does not hit the same with the victim situation. If you are on road, let me just be real. Let's not even beat around the bush and try and be politically correct or none of that. If you're involved in crime, the same victim thing does not apply. It doesn't, because it's cops and robbers out here. And RIP to the brother. It was a young brother who was probably lost and trying to find his way. I understand that. He did not need to be killed. But the public, the average Brit who reads that story now, that's the end of the story for them.
Yeah.
So the family will continue to fight for justice, but in a court of law, it's going to be a struggle. I understand what you're saying, but the police, you got to remember the police, look, they're just looking at it like, all right, this is somebody they're not even addressing the actual shooting. They're just saying this is someone who was in so many words, was problematic and a pestilence within the community. And, that story's been put out for a certain reason. My personal opinion is what I said it was back in September. The police will give it a long time to marinate, and then they'll just drop a story. And that story there, what does the headline say of that? Let's get it back up. The headline says, Chris Carber, men accused of murder plot with Met shooting victim. You notice they didn't write Met shooting victim accused of murder plot with men.
Yeah.
You notice that? And then check it. Let me just see if there's any kind of... I was just checking if there was a comment section on this thing.
Because you know they're very lively in them comment sections. Very lively, man. And it's strange that they allow these kind of strange comments to be kept on the website under these comments.
What I'm gonna do right now, I'm just gonna pull up one of the I'm gonna pull up a video where they're discussing these new allegations, and then I'm gonna read the comments.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna read the comments just to show you. I'm struggling to even find one where they're speaking about this. See, they've got Stormzy behind it. I can see Stormzy's there. Hold on, people. Hold on, we're gonna get this up.
The power of the media, innit, man? You know what I'm saying? These headlines, these attention-grabbing headlines, really paint the picture. Because you just rearrange those words in a slightly different fashion, and it tells you a different story.
Real talk.
Shame stream media. You have to scrutinize everything that these people pump out. You really do.
All right. So what I'm gonna do, people, right now. I just want to read. We're gonna read 5 comments in chronological order on Twitter, reacting to that story. This is just to prove my point of how fast the public can change direction when it comes to a situation like this, and why things are strategically released at certain points. So, folks, this is the first comment, yeah? And this is what the first comment says. Folks, yesterday we saw that Chris Carber, 24 years old, was shot by police, was alleged to have been involved in another shooting, already convicted of one, and in a car seen leaving the scene of another shooting the day before. Our brother, he's saying our brother, they're talking about the police, has now been suspended for 6 months.
Oh.
No way. Second comment, no way. Not the innocent Chris Carber. All investigations into the officer should now be stopped. That's the second comment. The third comment, apparently Chris Carber's life matters. Does the same not go for Brendan? That's the guy who allegedly was shot. The usual narrative, creating agenda pushing from the left. At least own up to it when you are wrong. Silence is deafening. Siding with a criminal over the police. Let's do 2 more. Hold on, I'm gonna do 2 more because
you see the
Chris
narrative.
Yeah, hear this one. Men accused of murder plot with Met shooting victim. Well, another aspiring DJ, footballer, etc., etc. Chris Carber wasn't murdered.
So what happened to him then?
All right, here, last one we'll read now. Last one. Folks. Nah, I'm not going to read that one. That one's kind of racial. Read this one. Rapper
That
Chris
DJ
Carber,
one? That DJ one was that footballer DJ.
There's a bag of them. This one says, rapper Chris Carber was convicted in 2019 of possessing a gun. On Monday, refused to stop his Audi when pursued on that Monday. Cornered in South London, smashed into the car to escape, refused 12 times to leave the car. Cop shot him dead. Well done. At least the police are doing something sensible.
That's ridiculous.
Look at this. Look at this. What the picture? What come with that? See that? That's the picture that came with that. A monkey, and it says, "Around blacks never relax." Look at that. That's what came with that. So all I'm saying to people is, the night it's over. That's over. That's done. That's done. That's finished with. That story alone kills the credibility. I understand what you're saying, Noble, and you are right. You are correct. But the mainstream are done with that story now. It's over. That police, they're gonna find something to justify that, because they're just gonna say it was a menace. That police is gonna say he took the shot, and it's ultimately gonna end up with that police walking. I hate to say it, but it's the truth, because when you're seen as a threat to society, this is why I say the gangster image is hurting the community and not helping it at all. Because all you have to do is slap that accusation over the man's head. Boom, he was trying to kill her, man. We don't know the ins and outs of that, but all of a sudden now, look at those 5 comments that I read out in chronological order, people. This is what I'm trying to say. We have to be careful, man. And look at that. You ain't going to see that covered now. The podcasts have got their clicks from it. The blogs have got their clicks from it. That story's done now. It's over.
It's not trending no more, Mark.
There you go.
Fickle minds, man. Fickle minds. It's amazing. But this is, as I say, division. This is what the whole thing is. You got these people now who are bringing monkeys and stuff. Come on, man. Who will be a monkey's uncle? That's all I got to say. You look at old so and so, and you look at a picture of a monkey, and look at the resemblance. That's all I'm gonna say on that. That's just the downright crazy, man. Let's stick to the facts. The last comment, I agree to a point, but they didn't do their job by killing him, executing him. Like that's not their job. If that was their job, then we would be hearing about people getting shot by the police very frequently. Very frequently. Burglars, anyone who's doing wickedness, they will be just shooting them down, right? And then what would the use of the police? The police would just go back to the normal stuff. There'd just be bobbies on the street, the occasional burglary and that kind of stuff. There'd be no badness going on, because all the gang people, all the murderers, they'd be all dead because the police are doing their job, right?
Exactly.
These people, man, need to take out, take a nice little leisurely stroll across the M6, man.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, but I knew that the police would have put a story out like this, and that does shoot the credibility of the victim. It does. So I mean, it shoots down the credibility of the victim. To what I'm saying. So there's kind of no way you can't come back from that, man. You can't come back from that. You cannot come back from that. Once you put yourself in
you muddy the waters, man. You muddy the waters. You can't even put on the tinfoil hat fitted cap and say, well, hold up. Even though we know, say, Shame Street Media and the IPCC, which is called something else now, and the police investigating themselves, we know all that's a farce and nothing's going to happen. There's no real change. You know what I mean? With Wayne Cousins, that's the only time we've seen any kind of justice done. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That
so
Wayne Cousins, in it.
Yeah, man, that demon. Like, come on, man. You remember that? Have I got the most latest one? Remember every year I'd send you the damn PDF of the police convictions.
Yeah, I remember.
You see, come on, and listen, everyone listening now, just go into Google or your favorite search engine and just type in police convictions and scroll down, and you'll see a PDF download, and you will be amazed at the kind of things that these so-called protectors, police officers, policy enforcers are doing on duty and outside of duty. It would blow your mind. It would blow your mind. You think that these people that you say, oh my God, how on earth is he doing that stuff? There's police people getting convicted for that shit as well.
Yeah.
Just because they got that uniform on. Don't think, see what I'm saying? But we see people in costumes, sibling, and we think, oh, they represent that. Someone in a white coat and a stethoscope. He's spent 7 years plus dedication to become a doctor. We see someone in that costume, in a military style costume, because police still look very different to how they used to look. And we think they're for justice, law, and equality, and they're going to uphold the law. No, these are just costumes they're wearing. They still have bigotry beliefs. Some of them are wicked and just nasty and looking to do anything. And let's not get it twisted. We still do have some good police officers. we definitely got some good police officers. But we just gotta pick sense from nonsense, as we say. Don't acquiesce straight to these folk. Don't, you know what I mean? They've got to. It's a two-way thing, isn't it? We are policed by consent over here. I don't know about any other country, but we are policed by consent.
They don't know. They didn't need to execute him. If you believe that he was this gangster that was on all this smoke, put him in that, put him in court and prove it and get a conviction. You don't just kill. You see what I'm saying? You don't just kill. But again, man, there's so much politics over there. You don't know what. There's so much ways that story could potentially go, or what's the reason they did it. There's so much things we'll never know. See what I'm saying? There's so much things we'll never know why they done that, or could my man maybe even been working with them folks?
Yeah.
Don't know. Did he know something that if you did put him in you don't know what's going on that in that world. You don't know. It could have been a thing where he knew certain corruption was going in, or it could be anything. The fact that they just took him out, it was a bit weird to me, because even when you look at the what was that situation again? It happened in Woolwich.
You talking about the two Somalian brothers?
Them Duns who ended up killing that soldier.
Rigby. Yeah.
You look at that situation. That video, I think, still online. They ran at the police.
Yeah. Oh, that video.
Yeah, that was leg shots. Like, if you notice, they ran at the police and it was just boom, boom, 1, 2. They just went down quick. I'm pretty sure a marksman like that must kind of know how to shoot without killing, even through a car. I know it's difficult, but they must be able to disable without killing. You know what I mean? Or let him get out the car. I don't know exactly. It's really difficult without actually knowing the whole story from start to finish. Because I know they say that he was trying to get out of the block, but I'm pretty sure that in a situation like that, the police will be trained to handle it. So I'm kind of struggling to see why you needed to execute at the same time.
You're right. I mean, with that really Rigby, man, that's an excellent point. And it's rarely done, though. This is the thing, though, Mark. That is rarely done. This is why it brings even more question marks. Like, how are they capping off my youth in a car with nothing? Right, and as you say, was he some kind of super grass? Was he an informant? Was he flipping, you know what I mean, working with them people them and saw something and da-da-da? And then these youths have cut someone's head off, yeah, in broad daylight, walking up and down. Look, they took down that video. I had that up on the channel. They took that down. Then they go a charge at the so-and-so, and they're alive and they got tried and went, huh? And they didn't have handguns. They didn't have handguns shooting. Remember, they had them cockle and head. Yeah.
Because they needed Britain to get. They needed. You see that move there? Why there was no headshots, no chest shots. They had to put them two youths in front of Britain and say, "Yo, these man done this. This is what it is." You see what I'm saying? These man done this move. We've got them, and their life will be hell right now. Trust me. Them man will be wishing that they could turn back time. Trust me. So what I'm trying to say to you is, you have to understand that even with a move like that, them police would have been under orders. Yo, these men are coming in alive. Don't take these men out. Whereas with that Carver situation, you have to think to yourself, why was he executed? Now, I'm not saying no racial thing or none of that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's certain police that are in cahoots with North Road Man, or North Road Man have had enough of being in cahoots, or they might be in the pocket of a Fed or whatever. And it could be like, yo, my man's got certain, my man knows certain things, a Fed might get a call. You remember, I remember watching a film where police were after one brother. It was Most Def. It was called 44 Blocks.
Yeah, I know. I knew he was gonna go there.
44 blocks. People watched that, and when at the end of the film, Mos Def is like, he knew the feds were trying to kill him, and the police says to the marksman, "You see that brother in there? He killed a lot of good men, you know. Like he killed one of us, kind of thing." And the marksman fed says, "Yeah, man, say no more. I know what that means." We don't know. That's all I'm gonna say. We don't know what happened. What we do know is that it's being cleaned up very well now.
Yes.
The story's finished, people. There's no story here anymore. That's a fact. There's no story here anymore. Never mind rap lyrics. Because when they start pulling up rap lyrics, a man are talking about chefing this one, doing a mazza with that one. You know, I got the something on me 24/7. I'm barking after man. The art
Khan. I got Khan in anything.
I'm on the art block. Yo, these dirty whores need to S my D. It's never no substance in this music. You listen to it and you're like, what? Yo, it don't even help. So it's hard, you know what I mean? It's hard because when you do speak to, it's hard, people, because a mother knows her son. A mother sees her son. A friend sees his friend. A father sees his son. An auntie sees her nephew. A little brother sees his big brother. A cousin sees his cousin. You don't see that dark side of your people. So when I'm watching these podcasts and the families on and stuff, all I know is, damn, they've lost their son. They don't know him on that level. They don't know him on the art block. They don't know him being involved in anything. So, with all due respect, there's a bias there. Because if you grab my grandmother now, she's going to be telling you how great I am, how perfect I am as her grandson, which I am that for her. But if you grab an ex-girlfriend, she's going to say a different story. If you get my mom, different story. Different people have a different perception of you. And that goes for all of us. So when I'm watching these podcasts, this is why I say a lot of parents, I'm not saying that, you know, you need to be like the dad in BMF, because that was just a bit extreme. But I'm saying if a man's coming in your yard and you see he's coming in with certain things or he's living a certain life, you have to condemn it. You have to let him know, I do not agree with that, and that you're going down a dark path doing that. And when you go down that path, I can't help you.
Yeah.
But when you see it happening, and then something happens and, you know, you almost pretend as though your child was just a perfect person and was never involved in nothing and a victim, it makes it harder for people to get behind the cause. It does. It makes it so difficult because there are some menaces that when I was growing up, there were menaces in the community that the only way to rid the community of, and people, please, I'm not talking about Chris Carver, but I'm saying within my environment growing up, Erdington, there were guys that prison or death took them away from good people. It took them away from them damaging other people. I'm being real. I know this kind of real talk is not something you hear every day. But when I was growing up, there were men who there was gone and there was away from good youths, good people who they would have been a poison to. Like, these are conversations that the black community have to start having. There were some pestilences that needed to be eradicated from the community, whether it was feds or another person like him or police or, you know, whatever it was. Man just wanted them out of the environment because they were creating trauma for a lot of people. They were very, you know, they were poison. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Virus. It's a virus, man. Yeah, man. And as you highlighted, reference like the parents, that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. People perceive people very differently, especially within your close circle, your bloods. Now, at the same time, when man comes in with a with a big watch on and a big chain on, and he's pushing a German whipping thing, and you're like, well, hold up. What, where you working? How much did that cost? Where did that come from? You must be out here damn brain, little man. What kind of road, what kind of path are you going down? Are you slinging hard? Like, what we doing? I don't know you're going to technical college doing this. I don't see your work. I don't see you coming home drawing no pictures or typing out no quotes. Where are we getting this money from? Okay, well, listen, that's not happening in my house. Yeah. The more we can get parents to be like condemn this shit to siblings, brethrens, like, okay, oh, you know, to a point, you know, this you might get your hands dirty for a small period of time, but generally we can't be co-signing and congratulating, you know, that kind of lifestyle, because we know where it leads. Unless this is literally, nah, Mark, no, but I'm just going to jump in it for 6 months. I just need to quickly raise some P so I can go and do this. Oh, we can see there's a method to the quote unquote madness. We can see it. We're literally using this, and we're not running around busting guns at people. We may be slanging a bit of board or something like that. Oh, okay, we can see that. But when you're just doing the most, like, we need people around you to say, nah, if you're going to do that, we're not Bridging's boss. Because if you're around me doing that madness, then they think I'm with you and your people them, and then they're going to start coming to me. I don't want it. So we need to be tough individuals and have those difficult conversations. Like, yo, Noble, I'm coming to check you. Nah, I don't think you should check me still, you know, because I'm hearing what kind of fuckery you're keeping up still. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the celebration also of coming home parties. People, I'm that truth in situations like that. Like, look at how much celebration of man's coming home from prison. I've seen it with my own eyes. Man celebrating their brethren or their cousin coming home, and it's a big celebration. And I've never been one for that. I've never been one involved in that, because I think it gives a man a sense of belonging. It gives a man, he's being celebrated. So when you're being celebrated from coming out of prison, it's almost like, usually when you see celebrations going on, a man wins the Champions League, he's dancing, you know what I mean? A man wins the F1 thing, he's got the champagne, a man graduates, it's a celebration. But when you celebrate an individual coming out of prison, you're almost sending him back to prison, because you don't celebrate bad things, bad experiences. You don't celebrate that, and we do. I've seen a lot of men. I know a lot of men who have fell victim to the celebration post. Yeah, man, my people them's home, you know. Yeah, man, big up yourself. Yeah, when you come home, and yeah, my man was down for 5. Yeah, he's home now. I've seen a lot of men encouraging it. And then man come home and they big them up. So I've heard men say, yo, my man's killing it. He's been out a year. He's killing it. He's got on this Rolex and this chain and I've looked at man and said, that's what you call killing it. And then the brother still, that's validation. So the brother's running down that path.
Yeah.
To get that path. Validation, and then he ends up back in prison again. It's a sad, harsh reality, but the reason for that is because the people around him celebrate him.
Yeah. And enable the behavior.
You're an enabler because you're celebrating ignorance. When we celebrate ignorance, we support ignorance. You do not celebrate coming home from prison. You do not celebrate a man in prison. You just don't do it.
Because we're not talking about political prisoners, are we? We're not talking about a brother or sister who's been locked up unjustly. Like, yeah, man, he's back now. She's back after being unjustly locked up. We did the appeals and all that, and they're back, and we're going to sue these people, and we're going to continue this fight. We're not talking about those people, are we, Mark?
No, we're not.
Okay.
We're not. So yeah, man, it's we're almost touching 3 hours, man. It's been a beautiful Saturday morning stream. It's no longer the morning anymore. So, we're gonna wrap this thing up, man. We're gonna wrap this thing up.
Blessed be.
Yeah, I believe it's been a very productive conversation. There's a lot of clips that can be taken from this also. See what I'm saying? So yeah, man, anything else you gotta say before we get out of here?
As you say, man, I can only echo productive, edutaining. I think we touched on some topics that as we don't know, people are afraid to talk about. You know what I mean? So consume it, like it, you know what I mean? And most importantly, try and apply some of these, some maybe one or two of these things you heard. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's something key you heard here and you think, you know what, yeah, that makes sense still. I ain't celebrating fuckery no more. Yeah, man. Let's do that. So to apply, man, don't just consume the content. Try and apply some of these principles, some of these things, some of these ideas. That's all I can ask, man. And have a prosperous and productive weekend and following upcoming week.
That's it, people. We out of here, man. See you next week. We gone.